Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Minecraft video. The last video I uploaded, or at least as it stands, the video is currently uploading. The last Minecraft video I did is a kind of oddball. It's not really particularly important to my Minecraft series, though it does pertain to it. It's the video where I find a shit ton of iron. Um, but the video before that, I mentioned a new project that I was working on. Now, of course, at this point in time, because it's been so long since we're on the project, it is an older project, but it's still new to the channel, and I have all the footage I need to go through with it. And this project is probably one of my first projects I've actually worked on that I've taken a long time to build something outside of my comfort zone and to actually sit there and try really, really hard to create something likable. With that being said, this room is what I call the kelp room. I think it's no surprise that I decided that I wanted to do a kelp farm at some point, considering that kelp is an amazing alternative fuel source in Minecraft. It's incredibly useful and it's just super proficient. You don't have to worry about finding coal over and over and over and over. Even though coal is really not that hard to find, it's a self-sustaining fuel source if you use it correctly. And I didn't want to just build this kelp farm. I wanted to create a room that looks cool and unique while still being a kelp farm. And, well, if the moss on the floor, along with the grass and the azalea trees and the other assortment of greenish blocks, isn't enough to tell you, I want to go for an overgrowth perspective. That's what I wanted to do in this build, and it's something I've never done before. I've never worked with an overgrowth perspective, but because around this time moss was just introduced, I really, really, really wanted to get the hang on this moss stuff. So I played around with the design, and that's pretty much this video. This video is going to be me playing around with the room, me playing around with redstone, and designing the room. The purpose of it being a kelp farm, but also the design of it being something greater than a kelp farm. It's not just a kelp farm; it's aesthetically pleasing. At least to me, it is. This comes a long way, and this is a pretty long thing. It takes a long time for me to build this, so it's potential that this actually gets broken down into one or two videos. I'm not particularly sure, but we'll just play it by ear. Anyways, I'm going to stop delaying the video, and I'm going to go ahead and get right into the building project. Thank you guys for watching this, and I seriously hope you can enjoy the video. Contraptions, or primarily most of them. Each redstone contraption, depending on what the redstone contraption is built around, will have a different room. Now we're getting to this room, which I am currently working on. I did not fix this. Here, let me do this. And then take a carpet here and cover this up. But each room will have a different look. And as opposed to this, you can see, oh, wow, it's vegetation, right? Yes, this is vegetation. The torches are temporary. This is just to make sure nothing spawns down here. I'm using moss, azaleas, flowers, and I have some extra blocks in here, and the blocks will probably tell you what I'm doing. So, I have kelp, packed ice, so this is for the farm that I'm making, and then these peonies, bamboo, vines, glow lichen, and leaves, and glowberries, and I will be using jungle logs as well, will contribute to the vegetation. And the actual kelp and the packed ice, along with glass I actually have in my inventory, and the extra chest and smooth stone, will be used for I can't think, I'm sorry. For the kelp farm. I am creating a passive auto-generating kelp farm. Now, this thing is probably going to be large. I don't know how far it's going to expand out this way quite a little bit. And then I might actually have the first row of kelp will be visible through glass, and then it'll push up via soul sand, and then drop into the packed ice belt that pushes it into a hopper, and the hopper feeds into a chest. And then from that chest, I still got to determine whether I want to put that into a furnace and cook that, and then transport it to a super smelter, or if I want it to be an individual from the super smelter. Anyways, getting a little sidetracked. Behind this first row of kelp farm, I might actually have more kelp farms behind it that have hoppers that go around the sides. I'm not sure yet. It all depends on the efficiency of the kelp farms. I might not start the kelp farm like at this layer. I might dig down a couple levels. So like there, I might dig down here, and then that's where I start my kelp farm. Like, so it's a little taller, if that makes any sense. I don't know. We'll see. I still got to do a little bit of experimenting. If I actually go onto, let's do save and quit. I have a creative test world that I've been using recently. I've been using it a little more. I haven't done creative test worlds often, but I've just started recently doing the creative test world, and I think it's a great idea, and I'm going to start doing it more. However, I should separate my redstone uh, from my actual builds. Like, this is an original quartz house that I wanted to do. Oh, there's fire on that. Anyways, so this is the original design I had for my villager hall. As you can see, it was a lot smaller originally, but I made it a lot bigger. This is originally what I planned, which this is still, it looks good in its own right, but I like my design better. I think the bigger atmosphere is nice, considering that it's my actual base rather than rather than just being some village hall. It's actually my base included, so that's kind of nice. Was a terrible idea. I don't know what I was doing here. I do like the bamboo forest idea, and I might put this in, kind of. I'm not entirely sure. It all depends with the stone walls here. This I am not building on our server, or at least I don't plan to for a while. This, however, is what I'm interested in. So this is an old design. This actually, I'm not using this. I am using from starting here to the left. This is the design I'm using. I've increased the tick speed of the world for obvious reasons. You know, I don't want to sit there and wait for the shit to grow. I wanted to see if it works. So there's going to be more kelp on my world or on the server, but there's soul sand and dirt. The kelp grows on the dirt. Kelp goes up here. Then there's an observer that is tied to redstone that feeds all the way down here to pistons. When the kelp grows all the way up here, the pistons activate, push it, and then the soul sand and the running water at the top will force the kelp to fly out into this, which feeds into hoppers and then into chests, right? The glass is all protective to make sure that the kelp doesn't fly up and over or land on this and then despawn after 5 minutes. It's to increase the efficiency of the farm and to make sure that I'm getting all of the products that it's producing. The only thing is that I noticed is that occasionally the kelp will kind of stagger and it won't grow all the way. So that's why each one of these don't have an independent redstone string, is because when I did this, I originally had no other rows, just this one. And occasionally the kelp, even with the ridiculous, I think the tick speed is like 1 or 2,000 on this. And occasionally this kelp would stop growing. It just wouldn't grow. I think it's a bedrock issue. Like, I would sit there for an hour and it would not grow. And I've checked all these remain source blocks the entire time. That's not an issue. If I take kelp and build it all the way up, if it doesn't grow, it gets pistoned and then it resets and it grows again. So with this design, hopefully that doesn't happen, because when any of these hit an observer, any of these kelp hit an observer, all these pistons are going to push out and reset the kelp. So hopefully this should fix that issue that I had. So all these reset, meaning that as long as all these kelp, as long as every single individual kelp does not have that same issue, I should theoretically be okay. But we'll find out. We'll see as I actually build this. And then if I do make this, I think 12 or 16 long, I'm going to have to incorporate a repeater, which I might have to bring the redstone out one and then in. We'll see. But you guys get the general design. This is kind of what I'm going for. This is going to be on the back side of the wall. And this current build, which I actually like this height a lot. This currently is 1, 2, well, hold on. Let's see, 3, 4, 5. I keep doing that. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 high, including the barrier I have here, which technically I won't need since it's in an underground base. So we'll be lenient and we'll say it's 12 high, right? So this is going to be about a 12 block high build. And then technically I'm also going to have to make the roof lower than that if I want to hide this right here. So we'll see. I'm kind of playing it by ear right now. But yeah, after I've showed you this design, I'm going to go ahead and hop back on the world and start messing around a little bit and see what I can create. Layout here, I kind of started putting in the system and I've changed it a little bit. I am removing the pack ice from here. Only the bottom actually needs the pack ice, and then I'm going to put scaffolding to get up to it currently. And I have hoppers and double chest systems set in place. The only thing really left to do is to kind of patch up the rest and then figure out where I want to lead the hoppers, whether I want these chests to remain manual or if I would like them to actually link up somewhere else through the sides. I might bring down one more row of hoppers, or I might just do it via hoppers regardless. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'll figure it out though. This is the system. I'm getting water in place right now. The kelp is growing, which is good. That's a good sign. So let's see what happens. So I have all the chests in place. If I can just get up here, I will show. So this redstone signal is all connected. I got a repeater running down there. Now, unfortunately, because the way I have this repeater set, this observer itself will not actually trigger based off kelp growing here. But with all these other observers, I think the system should still work the same. It's just if this one maxes out first, it won't kick out everything, which is fine. I'm fine with that. Really, I don't even need an observer on every single one of these. It's just to assure that the system does not manage to screw itself, basically. So I'm gonna have a green wool kind of highlighting the redstone, just in case I do any back builds here, or if I actually expand this to more silos in the back, if that's what you use. Okay, so this is the piston, which means I actually need to take the redstone this way. I can't put the wool there. It needs to go here. I don't have a ton of real estate, actually. I mean, I do have a decent amount of space. Hopefully, if I go down here, there is a spider spawner that I plan on utilizing. I need to record the Y level of the spider spawner. Hopefully, it's lower than my actual thing substantially. So we got 49, or 50 rather. 50 will be easier to remember. I think it's about the same Y level, which is unfortunate. If it was lower than that, I could actually utilize the farm, but I might have to just stop the kelp farm sooner than this. Yeah, 48, 50. Yeah, so it's literally the same Y level, essentially. Or rather, not enough difference to actually, to push this over the spider spawner. I hate when the redstone does this. Why do pistons are so buggy? The only way I can fix this is by breaking the piston and then doing that. It's a good thing I didn't have the redstone down. Let's see if anyone else other did that. I'm gonna have to go to the bottom, break the kelp, and then... Seems like that's the only one that actually did it. Nope, this one too. I don't know why it's waterlogging the piston. It shouldn't be, but it is. And it's not even a source block that's running through it. It's flowing water. There's a bug where it does it to standard blocks too. I don't know why, but it does. Okay, and then let's run the redstone here. And actually we'll have a repeater here. I want to make sure all these pistons have to be able to fire. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do this Minecraft YouTube stuff, exactly what you guys want to see, what footage to include and what not to include, without being too overbearing, I guess. I don't want these videos to be redundant or slow or seem like it's just too much information, but at the same time, I don't feel like you guys are missing out on too much. And for that exact reason, I am including a sped up video of me trying to figure out how the hell redstone works. If you couldn't tell, the design is the exact same one as I used in Creative from the previous part of the video. However, the module is much longer. Rather than being like 6 blocks long, it's like 13, 14, or 15, which goes past the extent, the duration that redstone can reach alone. You can see Cody there running through my thing looking at it. And because of that, I had to figure out how to extend the redstone pulse. Now, normally you'd use a repeater, but I also had to figure out how to include a repeater in the redstone design, but still make it so that all the pistons at the bottom can fire. This is something I struggled with, because once again, I'm not too particularly familiar with redstone, so this is just a compilation of me struggling for hours. Eventually, I do figure out a design that does work, that works so every piston can fire and all the observers will receive information and trigger the redstone so the pistons fire. Eventually, I do settle up on a design, and yeah, we actually get to a working farm. I want to go ahead and show the moment where it clicks in my head, and past that, we'll proceed to the next part of the video. A hopper system where a chest will stop, or a minecart will stop here, and it will essentially. I should probably actually move this over one to here. But minecart with a chest runs through, goes to the hoppers dispense the kelp, and the kelp goes into these chests. Still working on it, but this is what I got so far. So, new update. I have the hopper system working. I have a lever tied to this, so now when I press the lever, it stops, it feeds up, and then it runs the kelp through the chests. So if I don't think it has any, yeah, there's no kelp in it really. So if I stop this, there we go. So it'll stop up here, it'll fill up, dump it into this hopper chest, and then it'll dispense uh, the fuel in that way. Kind of going through this, do that, and then I'm going to start throwing in leaves. This is kind of what I've been experimenting with, dangling down, added some spores, some moss, vines, getting all that grown in, slowly transitioning it to a more lush build, and letting things cascade a little bit. So we'll see what goes from there. 3 hours at this, and I've finally come up with a pattern and a rhythm that I like, and I'm going to keep approaching it, I think. However, I'm not so sure if I'm going to continue today because I am exhausted. I think I might pick up tomorrow. I do actually want to get some bees in here. I had some in this hive when I placed it down, and I accidentally got them killed. I have thorns on, and they were not happy. But I do want to get bees in here. I think having 2 bees in here would be kind of cool. And I got to keep working on scaling this upwards, but so far I really like this design, and I want to keep working on it throughout the entirety of tomorrow, or maybe tonight if I feel like playing again. But right now I really got to take a break. I've been going at this for a while, and I mean, if this is any indication, this is a kelp right now. It's already doing generating passively, but if I turn that back on, it should run through, and you'll see more kelp generating here. Uh, I can also go to over this chest. There's a skeleton that died at some point. So my point stands. I've been going for a while, and I'm exhausted. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a break. Oh, I took some time off Minecraft real quick, and I grabbed a bite to eat, something to drink. Watched a couple of movies. Actually, I just watched one with my dad because he just got home, and he's off. So I figured I'd spend some time with him. Anyways, I went back to doing this, and I added a little backdoor to my component. I switched all the hoppers here, rather than being chests, they're all hoppers, and none of them feed into this chest, actually. They all loop into one chest here, and it's all going to be, all the kelp is going to be stored in one compartment over here. Uh, I decided that I'm going to store the kelp here, in this compartment with the 4 double chests here, rather than splitting it up, just to try to help me keep better track on the resources and how much I have particularly. And then all this will be available through the back door of the redstone. I still got to puncture a little hole down here. And then I'm going to have some kind of unique little fun way to get up here. Right now, it's just kind of a little temporary staircase. This is not permanent. I'll have some kind of unique water elevator or some kind of contraption to get me up there. But for now, that's kind of what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go back to working on these. By the way, we are now using the updated textures texture pack, which is nice because updated textures look a lot better. So the leaves look tremendously even better with the more oak there is. So I'm going to use oak a little bit more in this. I'm going to get rid of some of the moss or top over the moss with the oak. kind of disperse it out a little bit. And then I'm going to try keeping the darker leaves at the top and the lighter leaves towards the bottom to try to give an idea, an effective lighting, a gradient sort of. Anyways, I'm going to work on that, and let's do a progress update when I feel like it. Of course, instead of just doing sudden jumps all the time as to like, oh, by the way, I made this progress, I want to do some gradual clips of just a little speed lapse of things I do and maybe help you get an understanding of the process that I go through when building these things. Whether that include the mistakes that I make along the way, or just the experimental stuff I place down, or whether I get into a rhythm and start building things. I do want to showcase a little bit of that, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm showing a little bit of the building process, though not all of it, just because I don't want to seem redundant. I still want to show part of it, whether it serves as proof of like, hey, I built this, I didn't just create of it or paste it, or if it's just like, hey, look at how I built this and see if it helps you. That's all I wanted to say real quick. I figured this was something worth mentioning. I've been working on this a little longer than I've anticipated. One of our friends on the server, Sheila, has given me another one of these, and I have another one actually right here. I have another spore block. I have another spore block. Some to use, dude. These Endermen keep ending up in my base, and it's actually triggering me. I've killed so many Endermen. I don't. It's actually disgusting how many Endermen spawn here. If you didn't know better, you'd think it's a fucking Enderman spawner. I went through, and if you couldn't tell, there's a little more of a gradient to it. I went through to the topper layers, and I started adding some birch leaves. The texture changes from classical to the updated textures kind of threw me off a little bit. The oak was a little brighter than it was originally, and the jungle was darker than it was originally. So those have been kind of reversed, and my oak kind of went above the jungle or below the jungle usually. So that kind of messed with it a little bit, but it still looks okay for the gradient. A lot of it is majority moss, and I want that kind of aspect. Now, I think with some of these leaves here, I am going to add, like, I'm probably going to have, like, an oak here, and then I'll probably have, I usually have moss behind behind the leaves to exemplify the green. I don't want there to be a lot of gray or uh, brown is okay sometimes, but I don't want a ton of gray behind my build primarily. At first, I really struggled with this randomization stuff, randomizing these patterns, but I'm really starting to get this down, and I really like the way this is turning out, if I'm being honest. Also, I have water underneath this carpet, and I'm got sugarcane in here now, and I think sugarcane is going to be an amazing attribute to this build, because it adds, it's a finite detail, yet, I don't know why I can't, oh yeah, because it's not grass. I have mixtures of grass here too to kind of blend. Like you can tell this is grass. So in between the grass and moss, I think there's a really nice little subtle color change, and I think that really helps with the build too. You can see there's a little bit of hidden light here going into play. I got hidden torches. Whatever torches aren't hidden either will be hidden or will be moved to various locations. I threw in some lights on the creep vines, and I actually have a couple of glow shrooms hiding in I think three or four. I have three or four of them hiding in leaves. I actually want the glow shroom to be exposed, but I want the exposure to be minimal if possible. So like I do want you to see that bright orange because once again it goes with the creep vine, but it's not too obvious. It's enough to where like it adds a nice orange hue in it. Like it's obvious but not blatantly distracting essentially. I also added cocoa beans to some of these. I think the cocoa beans kind of add a nice middle ground between this and the brown, the orange and the brown. I think that's a really good middle ground here. And yeah, I like this so far. I might add more vines. These vines are kind of getting out of control, but I'm letting these ones get out of control. Everything else is going to be pretty well managed here. I might use the drip leaf more, and then obviously this side of the room needs a lot of work, and the middle actually, I think I'm going to carve out just a little bit of the middle and bring it down a level or two, maybe, possibly. I think that could be cool. And then I think the last thing I considered that I am probably not gonna do was I was gonna have this wrap around the back side of the redstone and have a jungle railing system there to kind of look at for AFKing. But you know, you can also do that on this side. It's just a little slightly less visible, which was partially the goal. So I don't know. Like I said, I got a lot of experimenting to do still, even with the progress I have currently made. on this build as it stands. I think it's an okay position right now, but only time can tell, and it could potentially evolve from here. Here, not as much. This is the pinnacle. I think this is going to be the highest the roof goes. I might have a point where it gets that high over here, but generally everything else is going to kind of fade and blend in. It also depends on how I'm going to do this. So I'm just going to go and get this general layout done right now. But it depends how tall I make this right here. I guess this can be kind of a little hefty here, and then fade out right about here. And then I'll have like kind of one go up and then maybe twist sort of like this. Maybe bring this, cut this back a little bit. I could do, let's see. I don't know. I guess I could just leave that open for now and then sort of start carving into the wall a little bit. And then bring it back out and then maybe carve into the roof a little bit here. Sort of something like that. It's a very generic start, but kind of like treat the moss in the leaves like a giant vine, sort of wrapping up and around. It's very basic. I'm also running out of blocks, but it starts off not as something, and then it kind of evolves into something much better as I get a better eye feel for like what do I want to do here, and how do I want to proceed to place blocks. So that's all subject to change. Obviously, this chest isn't permanent. This is just a junk chest full of a bunch of garbage I have currently there. But yeah, you can kind of see what I've done. I'm a long way from done, but I really do like this project. I think it's coming along nicely, and I think that I think it's a really good build, at least for me, because it's out of my comfort zone in its entirety. I've never built something like this in this lushness before, and with the Caves and Cliffs update, I see an opportunity, and that opportunity was something that I pursued, and I think I did an okay job. I didn't do the world's best job, for sure, but I think I did well enough for someone that hasn't attempted this before, and I look forward to doing either a continuation to this build or doing similar builds to this in the future. The one thing I have to debate right now is if I want to link my super smelter in this room and continue this room, expand it out and make my super smelter a part of it, or if I want to do the super smelter in a different room and actually make it a different aesthetic, like hell or modern or medieval. I don't know yet. I think that they're all good possibilities, and I don't know. Maybe if the Minecraft stuff does well enough, maybe you guys can tell me what you want. I'm down to try out something new. If you guys got something in mind, or if you just want me to go off of one of my preset ideas, then that's fine too. Like I said, I still got to toy around with this a little bit. The verticality in this area definitely needs some work. It seems really flat. With the grass helps a lot, and so does the carpets I've got from bone mealing. The moss kind of does that for you a little bit, which is super nice. But it's a good start, and I could also probably put more glow lichen in. I don't want to put too much glow lichen in because it's almost like a gray, so I have to be very careful with it. And the goal is to just primarily hide all of the ice. I can actually, I believe I can get rid of this chest. It's got stuff in it. I'll get rid of it later. Uh, but that, other than the ice, the stone, and the area around here, this is all going to be transformed. And then there's going to come to a question where, what do I do want to do with this back wall? This isn't ever going to be completely hideable because of the glass. I shouldn't have done glass, but I did. And it's never going to be completely hideable. So the question is, what do I want to do here? Do I want to knock this out and continue the lush cave on the other side to make it to give it like a some kind of effect, or do I want to try adding another kelp, another farm? And I could try pushing another kelp farm or maybe two back there and produce even more kelp depending on how this kelp farm performs. Which honestly, this kelp farm is producing a decent amount of kelp. It's not a zero tick kelp farm rate, so I might want to consider adding one or two more just to boost that rate, but it's also very expensive. I've blown through a lot of iron in this process, and redstone too. I believe I had 3 stacks of iron blocks. There's 46 in there, and I believe I only have one more stack, so I've gone through a stack and 20 of iron blocks. not including the spare ore I had. I also went through a lot of wood. Yeah, I don't have any iron left. So I went through 2 stacks and 20. I went through 2 stacks of iron blocks, which is 64, 64, 128. So I went through 148 iron blocks in the process of creating that redstone. Now, is it worth it? Yeah, probably. The super smelter is going to cost even more iron than that, so I am unfortunately going to have to go iron mining at some point, which is fine. I really don't mind it all that much. I don't mind gathering resources. I tend to collect everything in bulk and over collect because it's better to have something and not need it than to need something and not have it. So I'll probably grab the sorts of copper and coal along with it. Coal is always nice, and I can use coal as a fuel source for now. It's just I'm thinking long term. I don't want to have to go grinding coal every month, like massive coal grinding just to use my super smelter. Since it's sort of the big project I got going on right now, and then obviously once I get my super smelter finished for the community to use, I got to finish off my actual base up top, which I don't think it's got too much more of an extension. And then after I finish the super smelter and the village hall, that's where I'm starting my big, 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 big project, the mountain on the lakeside with a shrine on top of it. I kind of have an idea what I want to do. I definitely have to play test it in creative. It's another thing that's out of my comfort zone. I have never tried terraforming on that scale. I haven't terraformed much at all, but to terraform on that scale is an entirely different thing, and I want to see if I'm up to the challenge. Until then, I think I'm gonna hit the hay and call it there because I've been playing for uh, for a long time, and I think it's time that I catch some sleep. At the beginning of this video, I stated that this project would most likely be broken into 2 videos, or maybe one if I could get it in. I didn't actually know at the time because I was still editing it. However, obviously I've reached the end of this video and come to the conclusion that this project will be broken into 2, maybe even 3 videos, just because of how much footage I have. And I want to show the progression of that actual project. It transforms into a lot more than what I thought it was going to be. There's a bigger extension, and there's a lot I add to that build. And for that particular reason, the build ends up being a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. However, I'm still going to upload that. I'm not going to move on to the mountain project yet. There's a lot of stuff that I do in my base. I have 90 gigabytes of Minecraft footage, if you're willing to consider how much that is. Some of that is this project, some of it is another project, some of it is project after that, and some of it's actually the mountain project. The mountain project is the big boy that I'm actually still working on right now. However, let's not get ahead of ourselves like I did in this video. I still plan on uploading the Kelp Farm footage, and I should have enough to get another video out because, like I said, it transforms into something much bigger than I had originally anticipated. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. If you guys are interested, I'll keep uploading Minecraft. I'm going to bring other footage too, like Siege and Apex, but until then, I hope you enjoyed this video, and you have a lovely fucking day. Until then. Let's go!
Oh. What'd you get from it?
I don't know, I just killed it. Remembrance of the Lich Dragon.
Oh, that's a room boss. There you
90,000
go.
souls.